this guitar lesson, I'll teach y'all how to play those 3 guitar licks that I just played a sample of. And after that, I'll show you how to use these guitar licks as fill riffs with your rhythm guitar to make your rhythm sound a little bit fuller. So all 3 of these licks are in the key of D, and they've got that really nice bluesy country sound that I like a lot. So let's go ahead and get started here. Pull up tablature on the screen, and let's break down lick number 1. Lick number 1 is 1 measure long, and it sounds like this. And I use my middle finger for all of that right there. You can see in the tablature we've got a hammer on right at the beginning of it, from the open 5th string, hammering on to the 3rd fret. So hammer, pick, slide up. We got a slide with the middle finger right after that. So hammer, pick, slide up. And then end it with a pull off. Pull off. And this lick is all 8th notes. So if we count this measure in 8th notes, it would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's lick number 1 right there. And if I'm using this lick as a fill riff, what I would do is just replace 1 measure of strumming with this lick right here. So for example, a lot of times in country and bluegrass we're playing this boom chick strumming pattern. Boom chick, and that's 1 measure right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, or you could say pick, strum, and I'm just playing a D major chord, and the first bass line pick was on the 4th string, and then we got the 5th string. It's right after it. So if we're going to use this as a fill riff, let's do 1 measure of the riff, and then we'll go to 1 measure boom chick strumming. Then back to 1 measure riff, 1 measure boom chick strumming, just back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, riff. Riff has a really nice bluesy country sound. So that's a very simple example of how to use this lick as a fill riff. We'll look at some other examples later in this lesson, and we'll also look at another strumming pattern that's a little more complicated than the basic boom chick pattern. But for now, let's go ahead and learn lick number 2. And this lick number 2 right here is very similar to lick number 1, but slightly different. Still just 1 measure long, and it sounds like this. I'm still just using my middle finger for all of that. So we got 2 hammer-ons kind of right in a row at the beginning of this. Hammer, pick, hammer, pick. Hammer, pick, hammer, pick. So that second hammer-on, leave your middle finger planted after you play that second hammer-on. Just keep it pressed on the fretboard because you'll need that for the pull-off at the end of the lick. So, hammer, pick, pull off. that makes sense. It's all eighth notes for this lick as well. Pause the video if you want to work on this lick, but let's play this lick as a fill riff. We'll play one measure of this lick number 2, and then one measure of boom chick strumming, just back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, lick. Boom chick, boom chick. So a lot of times I like to use these one measure licks as fill riffs to help me transition from one chord to the next. So both of the licks we've learned today are meant to be played in the key of D. So let's say we got a country and bluegrass song that's in the key of D. You're probably going to see the D major chord, the G major chord, and the A major chord. Now, those are just the 1, 4, 5 chords when you're in the key of D. So let's say we're switching back and forth between those chords in a chord progression. You can use one of these one measure licks to help you transition from one chord to the next. There's a real quick example. Let's say we got 2 measures of D chord and 2 measures of G chord. Let's try using one of these licks. Let's use lick number 2. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. D. Lick, G, so let's try using lick number 1 in the same way. D, so lick number 1 and lick number 2, very useful. You can use them to transition between several different chords when you're in the key of D. So now let's check out lick number 3. This one's a little bit longer. Really like this one a lot. And let me just play through it for you real quick. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that one more time, a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's break this down measure by measure. Let's check out the first measure on the screen. It goes like this. One, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and using a middle finger there for all of that. And when you're ready, let's just add on the second measure. It goes like this. Using the middle finger for all of the second measure as well. It's all eighth notes. So up to this point, we've got the first and the second measures. And next we'll just add on the third measure. It goes like this. And in the third measure, I'm using my pointer finger for all of it. One, two, and three, and four, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and And then in the fourth measure, we've just got some country and bluegrass rhythm over the D chord. Pick, down, down, up, down, up. Pick, down, down, up, down, up. Let's play this entire lick, measures 1 through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my favorite time to use lick number 3 is when I've got a chord progression in the key of D, and in that chord progression I've got a grouping of 4 measures of the D major chord. So instead of playing BlueChip strumming over those 4 measures of D, I might play this lick 3 instead. It will really spice up your rhythm guitar. So try that out sometime when you're in the key of D and you come across a grouping of 4 measures of the D chord. You try this lick. Next we're going to take a look at another strumming pattern that I like to use a lot when I'm in the key of D. So up to this point we just used the basic BlueChip strumming. Boom, chick, boom, chick. And now let's try this more advanced strumming pattern. It goes like this. I'm going to play a D major chord. Let's try it. Pick, down, down, up, down, up. Pick, down, down, up, down, up. Pick, down, down, up, down, up. Pick, down, down, up. Let's try it over the G chord. Try it over the A chord as well. Pick, down, down, up, down, up, pick, down, down, up, down, up, pick, down, down, up, down, up, pick. So the trick to making this sound right is to make that first bass line pick nice and loud, and then the next strum you want ringing out nice and loud as well, but still nice smooth strum. So pick, strum, and then the next part is down, up, down, up. You want that part to be nice and smooth, a little bit quieter. So when you put it all together, pick, strum, down, up, down, pick, strum, down, up, down, pick, strum, down, up, down, pick, strum, down, up, down. Let's try speeding it up a little bit. that strumming pattern sounds really nice when you're in the key of D and when we start adding those licks to a chord progression as fills, just like I was doing there. So try finding a chord progression in the key of D that you like and experiment with this strumming pattern, and then try using these fill riffs to transition from one chord to the next. And there's really no rules on how to use these licks, especially those one measure licks. You can use those one measure licks to replace any measure of rhythm, and it's probably going to sound pretty good. You don't want to overuse the licks, play them every single measure when you're playing rhythm guitar, but kind of sprinkle them in throughout the chord progression and see what you think sounds good. Experiment with it a little bit. So that's it for this lesson. Hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions on this stuff, you can drop those in the comment box below this video. But thanks for watching to the end, and we've got plenty more lessons on the way here at countryguitaronline.com.